Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some accessories and enhancements that can be made to your AR or AR style. So the AR-15 rifle was definitely seemed to be designed to be way more right-handed friendly than it is left-handed friendly. I've been shooting ARs for probably close to 20 years now. The first gun that I ever bought, or the first AR-15 that I ever bought, was the Stag Arms Model 2L, which was their left-handed version, which is basically everything is just on the opposite side of the gun. Well, the Stag was a decent enough gun. I didn't like that it was kind of exclusive to that model. There was certain parts that you had to buy that were only made for that gun. There wasn't really a huge market for left-handed accessories, mainly being bolt carrier groups and whatnot. So I decided to just go back to right-handed standard ARs and then figure out how I could enhance them to make them more friendly for my left-handedness. Well, standard AR-15s, they eject from the right side of the gun, so there's nothing that you can do about that as far as getting more gas to the face. Shells coming back aren't really an issue because you do have the brass deflector that keeps them from coming back and hitting you in the arm or the face or anything like that. But yeah, there's nothing that you can do about that, but there are some accessories out there that can definitely make things more handy. And those enhancements that I'm going to be talking about in this video are going to be the charging handle, the safety, the magazine release, and the bolt catch. Your standard mil-spec charging handle only has one latch on the left side of the charging handle. So, if you're a standard right-handed person, as you're holding the gun, you go to charge it, you can grab it with your left hand and pull it back. If you're left-handed, and obviously if you're having to grab it with your right hand, you're going to have to reach around to grab it. It's not really, it's not that it's impossible to do as a left-handed person. It's just not very, it's not as easy to do as if you're a right-handed person. So there's several great options out there on the market available for ambidextrous charging handles, such as this BCM Gunfighter 4x4. As you see here by this design, even when you pull on the opposite side, it will unlock it, so it will pop out of the groove on your receiver. Me personally, I really like the Radian Raptor charging handles. They definitely have a great reputation. They have great styling to them. The mechanism is very smooth. As I mentioned, you can pull it back from either hand, and it unlocks it. These are definitely my charging handles of choice. They are a little bit pricey, especially when you consider what they do. But I'd like to say they're about in line with many of the other offerings out there that are the non-vented ones that are used with for suppressors. Next thing I'm going to go over is the safety. As you see here on my Mark 18, I do already have an ambidextrous safety on here. Came that way from the factory, but typically your standard AR only has a right-handed thumb safety. So for a right-handed person, they can easily just hit it with their thumb. Making an ambidextrous safety does allow a lefty to do the same fluid action that a right-handed person would, in comparison to a standard AR where this would just be flushed. There would be no lever. So on other ARs I've had that were standards, I'd have to activate with my finger. Definitely not very ergonomic. This offering here by Daniel Defense, it does have equal side levers on each side. There are ones out there where the opposite side is about half of the length, so it doesn't interfere or hit your knuckle when it's activated. Some people don't like how it rides underneath their finger right there. Doesn't really bother me. Another thing about this safety is its standard 90-degree throw. So when it's on safe, it is forward and aft, and when you put it on semi, you have to throw it 90 degrees where it's up and down. There are other offerings out there. Radian is a very popular option as well. They make safeties along with many other accessories in their charging handles. I only have a Radian safety on my 1522 here, but you see even on this one I do also have a Radian charging handle. Luckily I was able to grab one of these while they still make them. I don't believe they make them anymore. With the Radian ambidextrous safety, you'll notice that on this one here, the opposite side is shorter than the operating side. And you also notice that the throw has been reduced to, I think it's 45 or 50 degrees. These are very popular safeties. The way that they attach, the Daniel Defense is a screw, which can always come loose. And the mechanism with the Radians is there's a pin that snaps in place, makes it for easy on, easy off. It's considered to be a little bit more secure than using a standard screw. But again, 45, 50 degree throw. You do still have the right hand side, so if a right-handed shooter grabs your gun, or if you're shooting opposite shoulder, you still have the ability to activate the safety without it having the interference that you have touching your finger like you would with the standard length safety like on my Mark 18. Lastly, another offering that I have is made by Joe Bob Outfitters. Joe Bob Outfitters is a retailer or an online retailer. This safety here, I picked one up a few years ago. They're very inexpensive. I want to say they're only like $20 or $25. Standard where it just screws in. And like the Radian, it does have the reduced throw. But on this side, while it has a standard length, it is scalloped. So if you are a right-handed shooter, you still have the option to activate it, but with the lower profile, it definitely makes it even less obtrusive for your finger. As you can see, there's nothing to rub on your finger whatsoever. Next up would be the magazine release. So if you're a right-handed shooter, you got your right-handed grip, the mag release button is in a perfect spot where you can just reach your finger up and you can empty the magazine. I'm holding the gun kind of diagonally so it doesn't want to drop free, but for right-handed people, that is great. For left-handed people, that is not so great. So there are several offerings out there available for ambidextrous safeties, or I'm sorry, ambidextrous magazine releases. This unit that I have on my 1522 is made by Arms Unlimited. Similar to the Joe Bob's Outfitters prices, this is around $20 or $25. And this design here is pretty much a copy of the Norgon, which for years and years, the ambidextrous mag release of this design, it was copyrighted or patented by them. They're really pretty expensive. I want to say they ran about $70 or $80. I'm not sure if they're that same price anymore, because besides Arms Unlimited, I do know there's one, if not a couple more manufacturers out there who have come out with their design that's very much like this. So what this does is, typically with the mag release, if it was just a standard one, this would be flush with the receiver. There would be nothing for you to be able to push on as a left-handed person or left-handed shooter. And by raising this up, the mag pivots, magazine release pivots, and releases the magazine. So for a lefty, I can just reach up with my finger, I can push that button, and it drops out, very similar to what a right-handed shooter can do with an AR-15. Definitely not a bad design. It works. It does just straight up work. But what I like even more so, and again, while there are other offerings out there by other manufacturers, Ford Controls Design, they came out with a design here where it adds a lever right here that extends back. It pivots off the receiver and allows you to drop the magazine free. What I like about this design a lot more than the Norgon type design that I have on my 1522 is the placement of the mag release button. It is in a much more ergonomic place. Again, with the Norgon type design, I have to reach forward a little bit. It does feel a little bit unnatural, and it does require a little bit more force. And if you have a natural grip on the gun, sometimes you do have to put a little bit more tension on it than what you would like. With the Ford Controls Design, simply just drops right out. It is super easy. And one of the benefits that I have seen, I have 3 of these on 3 different ARs. It seems to be that the magazine release or the magazine insertion is also easier in itself. I know typically, you jam a magazine up in there and you give it a rack on the bottom of it. And And with these ones, I have noticed that it does not need that extra hit on the bottom. When you go to insert the magazine, it seems to insert and lock into place a lot easier than it does with your standard AR-15 magazine release, or even with these Arms Unlimited that I have on my 1522. Forward Control Design does offer a couple different patterns. This one here is their dimpled pattern. They also have a serrated pattern that looks more like your standard mil-spec type design. And they do also offer one of these that has the lever is extended to come out even further this way. I know when I was trying to decide for the first time when trying these out if I wanted the extended one or not, and just kind of going back to how the placement of the Arms Unlimited / Norgon type design was, I didn't really think, I tried to sit there and think, all right, looking at the pictures of this Forward Control Design online, it was already further back than what the Norgon type design was, and I didn't really want it too much further. So I just took a gamble, got the standard one, and I can tell you that for me personally, I feel that this standard FCD magazine release is perfect. Maybe eventually I'll pick up one of their extended ones to try out and see if I like it even better. Lastly, I'm going to go over the bolt catch here. So again, on standard AR, which seems to be very heavily favored towards a right-handed shooter, the bolt catch is designed to be in a place that when you go and empty a fresh magazine, your hand is already right there. You can hit the bolt catch, it releases it and slams it home. Well, if you're a left-handed shooter, obviously there is no option for that. So the Magpul bad lever, and I know that there's other offerings out there by other manufacturers also that are very similar to it. What they do is it would kind of clamp onto your standard bolt catch. It would have a little arm that comes down like an L, and then there would be a switch right here which would allow a left-handed person, once they insert the magazine, their hand would be right there. They could hit that lever, and it has the same effect. It would drop the bolt. So I know that the Magpul bad lever, some people love it, some people hate it. You hear stories out there on the internet about people having negligent discharges due to the bad lever. I didn't experience that when I had the bad lever on one of my previous ARs. But for me, downside of having the bad lever is that by design, since it clamps on here and then comes down this way into the trigger guard area, you cannot use ambidextrous magazine releases. So even the other style, like the Norgon design, it would directly get in the way of that, and it definitely will not work with the forward control design at all, for sure. So how is this ambidextrous related? Because there are, other bolt catches out there available. I know the Geisley Maritime one is a popular offering. I know Knight's Armament, I believe, makes one. It's just enhanced with a larger pad. Where this makes it more lefty friendly by the offering by Forward Control Design is that they have one. They have a standard one. They have one that's forward biased, and then this one here is rear biased. So as you see, the paddle on the bolt catch favors towards the rear of the gun more. So as a left-handed shooter, what I've gotten used to over time is that once I insert a fresh magazine, I would just reach up with my finger and hit the bolt catch to drop it, instead of reaching around the gun or turning the gun around and smacking it with my palm, whatever it may be. I've always just gotten used to that. So it is a little bit awkward, but having the rearward biased version here by Forward Control Design, it gives me a little bit more material and gives it a little bit easier reach for me to be able to hit that with my index finger. In addition to that, this surface here for the bolt catch has been raised, which makes it easier for locking the bolt back as a lefty. And then you see us dropping it. So as I pull the charging handle back while holding the gun with my firing hand, it makes it a lot more positive surface for me to be able to lock the bolt back, and then again reaching up and dropping the bolt. I am aware that there are several companies that do have offerings for ambidextrous ARs overall, with enhancements made to the lower receiver. So some of these features that you would get for a left-handed person are not only built in, but offer also the same controls on the right side. Popular versions that come to mind would be the LMT Marzell, the Radian ADAC. where they have actual bolt releases on the right side of the gun, where they have mag releases on the left-hand side of the gun. And, you know, again, those are great options. Definitely one that I would like to get my hands on. Maybe my next build, I will base it off an ambidextrous lower receiver. But if you don't want, if you already have an AR, a standard AR, these enhancements that I talked about in this video are options available for you that make shooting a left-handed AR very left-handed friendly and make it easier for you. So as usual, I appreciate the views. I appreciate the continued subscriptions. If you like this video, if you liked the content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it, and see you guys next video. Thanks.